Welcome to this short demo video for ConnectIT 365, where I will show you how to create an export definition using XML as data format. For this video, I will be using our wizard to create the export definition lines. In a previous video, I already explained how to do this for JSON files, but with XML files we have a few additional line types to consider, namely the attributes and the namespaces. So to begin, as always, we start in the ConnectIT Manager Role Center. And from here we choose Export and go to Definitions. From here we will create a new definition, give it a good name. In this case we will be processing a sales order. And for the data format we will use XML. We leave the method on manually and set the definition to active. Now for today we will be using this XML file. So here you can see that we have a sales order with 3 sales lines, and it also contains some namespaces and some attributes. And we can also see that the namespaces are also used for some of the elements. So we have the document to start with, we have an header, we have the line structure and each individual line. If we choose Create Definition Lines, we can choose that file. And from here we can go through the different nodes and choose whether or not to handle them as data items. So in this case we will handle the document element as the sales header. The header element itself will be a helper. The customer in this case will also be a helper because all the information that we need is already available on the sales order. The lines will be a helper as well. However, then we have the line element, and that will be another data item, and that's the sales line. So now the wizard is finished with creating the lines, and we can see already that we have namespaces and attributes available as well. And also for the namespaces, we can see that we actually already have the elements mapped to the different namespaces. So from here, we will do the same as before with the JSON files, and that is that we need to map the fields and the attributes in this case as well. So here we will be going through all the lines for the sales header. Get the reference. And here we have some elements related to the customer. In this case, I will be using the sell to customer number. And that's the city, and then we also need the country. And then we need some information from the lines as well. In this case, we will be using the line number for the ID in the attribute. And I will just map all the fields in this case as well. And finally, let's take a look which amount we want. And that will be the amount excluding VAT in this case. So right now we have all the fields mapped. However, we still need to create a link between the data items. So in this case, between the sales header and sales line. And for that, we need some additional fields. And in this case, those will be the document type and the document number. And those will be mapped with the document type and number fields in the sales header. Of course, we don't want to see them in the output, so we will turn off the option output. So they will just be used for the link. We also want to get more than one sales line, so we need to turn on the array as well. And from here, we have a couple things left to do. In this case, we also want the order date to be formatted correctly. In the example, this was formatted as year, month, day. So we'll be using that same format, and that will be the default XML format. So in this case, we can use the format string 9. And to get some interesting results, I will set up the filter. So we will only get orders or document type 1. And we get the same sales order as we have used in the example file. So we can compare the two. So now that we're done with creating the definition lines, we can use create example export to see the result. And here we can see we have the XML file with the sales header and the sales lines. We also have the namespaces. We have the attributes that are visible over here and the namespace prefixes that are used. So if we compare that to the original, we can see that we have the same output. So that's all that's needed to create the XML export definition. Thank you for joining this video. If you have any questions, you can contact us at sales@idyn.nl.